excited, and I'm excited. I'm going to start off with a couple of questions. So just by show of hands, who here is from overseas? Nice. And who works with people from overseas? Yeah, that's pretty much half the room. And who is an employer or manager sponsoring people from overseas or considering it? Excellent. Sonia, is that considering it?
Considering it.
Amazing. Right. So most employers think that it's difficult and expensive to sponsor people from overseas. 53% of my clients are thriving business owners who sponsor overseas workers. They know that the benefits outweigh the challenges and costs. And tonight I'll explain how to make hiring and sponsoring a success and how to scale your business with overseas workers. Oh, sorry, I need to get my phone. Prepared something earlier. So, an example of how to hire and sponsor and scale your business with overseas workers is one of my clients, Paul. Paul owns a multinational company in the high security industry. The headquarters is in Australia, and he also has branches in East Timor and the Philippines. He's dealing with military and governments in various countries, and the work is very sensitive, as you can imagine. Paul needed someone very specialized to manage his operations and who speaks certain languages, namely Tetum, which is the Timorese language, Tagalog, which is the Filipino language, and of course English. He was really desperate because the business was not going the way he needed it to be. And then he met me. And so I helped him with the whole process. It was complex. Employer-sponsored visas are not easy, they are really complex. But we got there, and it was a success, and I'm just going to read out what Paul said about his experience. We engaged Aspire as we required a specialized person for our operations in Darwin. With Aspire Immigration's expertise and assistance, our company achieved endorsement and an approved labour agreement with the Department of Immigration. Thanks to Aspire, our selected candidate from the Philippines and her partner got their work visas approved without any complications. The Aspire team gave timely professional advice and managed the whole process from start to finish successfully. This is of tremendous value for my business. Highly recommend and would use this company again. So this is a real review, actually, not made up. And so this is just one example. I have many more examples. Nearly every industry depends on migrant workers. For example, hospitality. The majority of hospitality workers are from overseas. That includes chefs, cooks, front of house staff, as well as management. Imagine your favorite Italian restaurant without the chef from Sicily, or the Thai place without the ethnic cook, or the fine dining experience without the French chef. And other sectors rely on migrants as well, such as IT, technology, agriculture, health, childcare, aged care, and the list goes on and on. Did you know that Australia is the size of Europe, and yet only has 25.8 million people? The skills shortage in Australia is evident and across all fields. And that's why immigration is so important for the economy. Australia would not be what it is without migrants. So, why sponsor a worker from overseas? Firstly, obviously, to fill a skills shortage in your business, like Paul. Secondly, most migrants speak multiple languages and have other specific knowledge. And so I've got 2 magic words for you. The first magic word is retention. So you can sponsor a migrant worker for a few years, so roughly around 5 to 6 years. It does depend on the visa type. So imagine you have the security of having someone in your business for at least 5, 6 years. Would you agree that retaining a staff member is cheaper than doing the recruitment process over and over and over again? Yeah? And also it saves you time and energy. Yeah? I know, I'm an employee myself, so the hiring process and the recruitment process is not fun. Also, retaining your team members is good for your business image, for the team morale, and for the customers. Also, this is very important in regional areas, to have the security of having team members there. Very important in regional areas where it's really, really hard to find the right people and retain the right people. As well as in industries with high turnover staff, such as hospitality. So retention is magic word number 1. The second magic word is loyalty. So when you hire and sponsor an overseas worker, not only are you giving them a job, you're also giving them a ticket to their dream life in Australia. And they will be forever grateful for that. So I know that from my own experience. So I came to Australia as a backpacker, and then when I decided I wanted to stay, I needed to look into my visa options, and for me, my best visa option was to be sponsored by an employer. And it's not easy to find that employer, and when I found them, I was working harder than I ever worked. I mean, well, until I had my own business. But as an employee, that was, the loyalty that you get and the gratitude is priceless. So in summary, sponsoring a migrant worker will definitely give you your return on investment times indefinite. Now, how can you sponsor? You may be wondering. There's 3, so Germans do 3 like that. We do 3 like that. There's 3 key factors. Firstly, you have to be an Australian business. Second, you have to be lawfully operating for at least 12 months. Now, there is exemptions for startups. It's just a little bit more paperwork and a little bit more work. And you have to be financially able to afford the staff member, so that means the salary and the superannuation. So that's the 3 main things. What to look out for when sponsoring? Well, the main difference is if you hire someone from offshore, meaning someone who is still overseas, not yet in Australia, or someone who is already here in Australia on a temporary visa, like an international student or backpacker. Like when I was hired and sponsored, I was a backpacker. Now, of course, we have COVID still, and yes, borders have been closed for 18 months. However, there is, even now, or even for the past 18 months, there is ways to get people in from offshore. It all depends on the situation. Of course, it is easier and faster, especially at the moment, to get someone from onshore who's already here locally. What you need to look out for is make sure they have a valid visa, so they're not unlawful, and check the expiry date of the visa. So if the visa expires in 2 weeks' time, that's not good. And what you can do as an employer, you can do a so-called Vivo check. That is like a verification check, which you can do online. They need the required qualifications and work experience. So for example, a chef is required to have a diploma and at least 2 years experience. If they don't have formal qualifications, they need 5 years experience. That is the Australian standard. English. Okay, I'm wrapping up. English, so that yes, they do need to do an English test if they're not from an English-speaking country. It depends on the occupation, and there's different English skills required. And very important, the occupation has to be on the occupation list. So if the occupation is not on the occupation list, unfortunately they cannot be sponsored. Yeah. So in summary, yes, there is a few hoops to jump through as an employer. However, remember the magic words, retention and loyalty. And for all the hard questions and the paperwork, you know me. And so my team and I can help. Is there any questions? Yes?
So new people coming into the country, who then houses them? So they're not going to have any rental history, they're not going to have any evidence of previous work. So, you know, you're bringing someone new, for example, from the Philippines, they're coming into the country.
Yeah.
How do you house them?
Yeah. So this is part of the reason why I joined a network like the Expert to, you know, connect with everyone pretty much, because migrants, when they first arrive, they need everything. They need a house, they need a bank account, they need a job, they need schooling for their children, they need health insurance.
So that means the whole family comes over, not just an individual as well?
Yeah. So it all depends. So